What's up, guys? Mind Warrior here, and today we're gonna play around with a new RU team that I just actually built, and we're gonna test it out a little bit in the lower ladder, but we're gonna try to get our way up there. So here's the team: a Soul-Vest Hitmonchan, which puts in so much work for the team, maxed out in attack and maxed out in defense, so it can tank some defensive hits, and being able to get out a nice drain punch just to recover some HP, or a nice ice punch, and even a mock punch just to handle and just to clean up sweep. Then I got Jump Pluff with no item, so I can set up the Swords Dance or Cotton Guard, and I can get off a stab, base 110 acrobatics, or even a Seed Bomb depending on the occasion. Max out in speed, attack, adamant nature, and if this thing can set up, which I didn't get in a game, got a Cotton Guard, Swords Dance, sweep pretty much, and it was glorious. So now I got Golurk, who's my Stealth Rock setter, with Life Orb and no guard, so I can get off nice and clean Earthquake and Dynamic Punches while still getting up the rocks. Then I got the Resto Chesto Registeel, which is a little interesting, and it has Explosion, Toxic, Rest, and Seismic Toss. Now, I'm actually going to change the Seismic Toss real fast to Iron Head so I can get some stab attack on it. Then I got Jellicent, who is physically defensive, with Shadow Ball, Recover, Scald, and it should be Will-O-Wisp. And then Typhlosion as my fast sweeper on the special side, holding the choice specs with Hidden Power Grass, Heat Wave for that extra damage instead of Eruption, so I'm guaranteed a nice hit, Focus Blast, and Extra Sensory. So let's get right into it. Let's load up RU. Let's get in. So the first match. Okay. You got the devil himself, Vivillon. You got most likely Choice Scarf, Flygon, Toxic Orb Zangoose, Leftover Miltank, Life Orb Meloetta, and maybe even Life Orb Delphox, or even Choice Scarf. I have seen a couple Choice Scarfed. So, my safest lead is, I would want to say Golurk, and he sends in the Zangoose. So I know this thing's most likely going to want to protect. So I'm very tempted to go for my Stealth Rocks right away. And he goes for the knockoff. But I do get my rocks. So now, all he can do is knock off. So, what else do I need this thing for? I mean, it pretty much walls the Miltank. Huh. This is a tough situation. If I got a Dynamic Punch off, which I should have done, it would have one-hit this thing. So I'm going to go for the Dynamic Punch and see what he switches into, because I'm very curious. But he just goes for the safe knockoff. Good play on his part. Nothing I could have done. So I'm going to switch into the Hitmonchan, and this thing does carry the Rapid Spin, just in case he wants to set up his own rocks with the Miltank. And I'm going to just go for the Mach Punch, expecting him to stay in and think he can take me out with a Facade. So I'm hoping that this Mach Punch can do the job, which it should, because it is Iron Fist. So we got the stab Iron Fist, but it doesn't. It lives on 6. But he does go down to the Toxic. That was I don't know how I feel about that play yet. So I'm going to go into the Jump Pluff, and he sends in the Meloetta. Now this thing, I'm going to set up a Swords Dance, and I'm going to pray I can live the hit. I should be able to, but it all depends what this thing wants to go for. I know this thing's not physical, it's mostly a special attacker, so I'm not going to set up the Cotton Guard. I do get my Swords Dance off. Now this was a misplay, because now I can go for the acrobatics and do a crap ton of damage to this thing now that it's super effective. But it does outspeed, but I have no item, so it does nothing, and I get a nice acrobatics off. See, this is what Jump Pluff can do. If you give it the right scenario, it can do a lot of work. So, He sends in the Miltank, which is interesting. I don't want to set up the Cotton Guard because I'm at too low of an HP, so I'm just going to go straight for the Acrobatics, try to get off as much damage as possible on this thing, and hopefully it's probably fully defensive. So the good thing is I have 2 special attackers left, but it does a nice amount of damage, which is fantastic. So I'm just going to send the Typhlosion, and predicting, I have nothing for the Delphox, so I'm just going for the safe Heat Wave just in case he wants to switch out. And if he does switch out, it's fine. I could have made, but he stays in. Good thing. And I take out that Miltank. So the game's pretty much tied here. So I have a feeling he's gonna go for either the HP Grass or the Shadow Ball, predicting the Jellicent. So I'm going to switch into my Registeel, because I need this Typhlosion if I want to clean up. And he goes for the Psychic, interestingly enough. Now, I'm going for the Explosion, because this thing walls the rest of my team. I live, I get off the Explosion, and it doesn't kill? Fuck. Okay. I kind of want to load this thing with more attack after this game. So I'm going to go for the Scald. He's probably going to Shadow Ball me. But he doesn't even have Shadow Ball, which is very interesting. Now, I do carry Curse Body on this thing. So there is a chance that I can, if... now that helps a lot. Go for the Scald. Sleep Powders me. I'm going to switch out, because I need this Jellicent if I want to take over the game. Goes for the Giga right away, which is interesting. I'm just going to go for this. I'm going to go for the Heat Wave. Now, I was surprised he didn't Quiver Dance. That interests me. So that's, of course, going to take it out. Now, what I want to do is, and I'm hoping this works, I send in the Jellicent, and the Curse Body, because it's most likely Choice Scarfed, it's going to have to struggle. And I do get it. That is a huge play. This thing's going to have to struggle. So I'm just going to Scald and hope. Yep, the Jellicent wakes up. It doesn't. Gonna Scald again. And this thing's gonna pretty much kill itself. Another one. I get the Scald off. I get the burn. And we narrowly win that game. That was very close. There were a lot of misplays on my part. I shouldn't have let the Hitmonchan go down that early. Or the Golurk for that matter, but we did get a nice win out of that. So I'm going to go in real quick, and I'm going to take a little bit of the HP stat, because that special defense stat and that defense stat are ridiculously high. So I'm going to lower my, just so I can get to 49, so I have the odd number, and I'm going to load the rest in attack. I get to 200, so an Explosion should do a little more damage than it did. So that's just for the added punch, and even for an Iron Head, it should do a little more damage than it's been doing. So a pretty different team. You got the Eviolite Togetic, which I'm very scared about because on this team I have no knockoff users, which is a shame on me. I might actually take out the rest set for this thing and replace it with knockoff leftovers, so I can get rid of a lot of those Eviolite users. So I'm predicting that either the Excelgor or the Tyrantrum to come in first. So I'm gonna predict the Tyrantrum because because I carry Ice Punch on my Hitmonlee. So this should be able to take out a lot of his team. Yeah, my Hitmonchan is my win condition, really. Because he sends in the Druddigon. So, I don't want to risk this thing, because this thing takes out the Excelgor, mostly. Takes out the Togetic, the Tangrowth. This thing does a number to his team. So I'm going to send in the Registeel, because I do not want this thing getting hurt. And he glares me, so he's faster. Okay, so I'm going to Toxic this thing. And remember, I can always rest to get rid of this. But I'm already slow as it is, so it's not like... So he sets up the Stealth Rocks. I get my Poison off. So I'm just going to go for Iron Head here. And remember, I can always rest, which is the good thing about this set. That I think. So I can just have a nice sturdy wall. For more than I should be able to. Which is the good part about the rest set. So he switches out into Togetic. And this should do... That does more damage than I thought it would. So I'm just going to keep going for Iron Head. Because I don't think this thing is... Oh. Okay. It's going to be one of those. So I'm just going to go for the Toxic. Stall this thing out. Because this thing, if I know anything about OU... With Togekiss... This thing's going to be a problem. So, and it... Oh, and of course it has Heal Bell. Why am I shocked? So, because I'm not faster than this thing anymore, I can't do anything. So he sends in the Druddigon again, which is interesting. I'm gonna go for the Toxic, because although he can always Heal Bell... Okay. So I'm gonna go for the Shadow Ball. I'm actually gonna go for the... I have to go for the Shadow Ball, because I'm predicting the Togetic to come back in. But, and I can't even Skull Burn it now, which is kind of stupid on my part, but I didn't want to take all that Rocky Helmet and Rough Skin damage. So, not a fan of that. So let's see what he does. I don't carry Ice Beam, which I'm kind of regretting. But there's nothing else I can really put on this thing, because I like the Willow just to cripple. So I do get that off. He glares me. Most likely, I'm just going to go for the Shadow Ball. This should kill. Because if he wants to Dragon Tail me, I'm going to go last. So pretty much, his plan is to paralyze everything on my team to make it slower, then come in and sweep with Tyrantrum. Yep, that's exactly what he's going to do. So I'm going to go for the Willow, as he's going to go for the Dragon Dance. That's my only... Well, there is something I can do. I'm going to send... This is a risky play. I'm going to send in the Hitmonchan, predicting him to Dragon Dance up. And then I'm going to go for the Drain Punch. I'm going to be able to tank the hit from it, because that's why I'm fully defensive. I'm going to get off him, but he goes for the Earthquake, which is a problem. But I'm going to go for the Mach Punch, hoping... But he switches in the Druddigon. I'm going to take a lot of damage. Don't kill... my win condition's gone. Fuck. Okay. That was a problem. I should have predicted that. Now I'm going to send in the Golurk so I can get up my own rocks. But I'm not going to make the same mistake I did last time. I'm going to Dynamic Punch. I'm not going to set up the rocks yet. Unless he wants to crunch me. That's the only thing I'm scared about right now. I don't want an Earthquake, but he switches out into Tangrowth, so this should still do a lot of damage. Now, I want to send in the Jumpluff. Or, I want to get Brock's first. That's my main objective, is to set up Brock's. Because while he can Giga Drain me, I should still be able to live a hit from this thing. He does get damage. By that look, it tells me that he's a special attacker. So I'm going to send in the Jumpluff. Now, this is when I can start setting up. Because although he doesn't have a lot of physical hitters, this thing is going to be a problem to anything on his team. So I'm going to set up the Cotton Guard first off. While we can still switch into the Delphox, which he does do, I don't think I can live a fire move from this thing. So I'm kind of acrobatics. But he goes... that tells me it's Scarfed. So I'm going to go into the Golurk. And I'm going to go for the Earthquake. Because it's going to hurt anything that this thing has to come at me. Has to offer. So I'm thinking he might switch into Togetic here. But he gets the crit. Okay. Okay. Of course he gets the crit. This thing is Scarfed. Now, Delphox does do a number on my team. So, of course, he switches to Tangrowth. Shocker there. I'm switch into the Registeel. And I'm going to try to get as much toxic damage as I can off of this thing. But he gets the knockoff, which I should have predicted. Unless he predicts the toxic. But he Leech Seeds. I'm gonna rest up here. This was not a good matchup. Goes into the Delphox. I'm asleep. So I'm going to go into the Jellicent to get rid of this Leaf Seed, because I'm not giving this thing any more HP than it already has. See, I have no counters for this team. For this Delphox, my only counter was Golurk. And of course it had the crit. And I'm pretty sure that crit did matter. If this thing is Scarfed, like I believe it is. But he predicts exactly what he needed to. I don't know if we can come back from this. Unless Registeel can come through with an explosion. And then Typhlosion would have to sweep the rest of his team, but it can't. I mean, Heat Wave might be able to, but it's quad resistant to Tyrantrum. But again, thing's paper thin, so this thing's gonna Heal Bell. No, it's gonna Roost first, then Heal Bell, of course. Well, at least I can't be paralyzed, so I knew I was faster than this thing. Just taking a sweet old time at this point, thinking what to do. I don't want to go for an explosion. Because I'm hoping... I don't know. He tanks the hit, which is great. So now that was a smart play on my part not to go for explosion yet. Whatever he sends in, I'm going to go for the explosion just to take it out. Because without it, I've pretty much lost this game. This is going on for a while. He's really thinking hard about what to do. I only have a couple options here. My main threat, if I can take out this Tyrantrum, I can sweep the rest of his team with Typhlosion. I don't know if what Excelgor wants to do, and most likely it's faster than Typhlosion, but if Typhlosion can take one hit, that's all that really matters. So he switches the Delphox out, which is interesting, because if it comes back in, it's dead. This thing probably wants to set up Leech Seed. He wants to bait out the Typhlosion right now. That's his main objective, which... I'm gonna do it. It's the only thing I can do to get rid of this Leech Seed so I can get a free switch into Typhlosion. And it does nothing. Alright. So this thing does run Sleep Powder. So this means I'm gonna have to lock myself into Heat Wave, and that's the only way I win this game. I'm putting the team on your back, Typhlosion. I'm putting the team... We're gonna have to come back from a 5-1 right now, which can at least get down to a 3. Come on. I know this thing definitely outspeeds. He's gonna send Tyrantrum. Now... I don't know what he wants to do here. If he wants to sack the Tangrowth off. Which he does do, and the Heat Wave does take it out. At least we're at a 4-1 at the moment. This is still... The comeback is real right now. I do have a very high chance with this Delphox highly weakened. But he sends in Tyrantrum. I'm gonna pray that I get some sort of burn crit combination of magic and hope I can take this thing out. I don't get the burn, and he takes me out. That was just, I was at a severe disadvantage from the get-go. That was my fault. I made too many misplays that shouldn't have happened, and I fully blame myself for that one. So, we're going to go into one more match, maybe another one, depends how fast this match goes. He's going to send that Crustle first. Oh, never mind, forfeits, okay, never mind. We are going to have another battle. So this team looks similar to the one that we just saw. Combination. So, Scarfed Embor. Don't know what that Gallade is, but he's most likely going to want to send in an Ariados first to set up the Sticky Web. So I'm going to send in Jumpluff. I'm going to do it. We're going to try to sweep this man right now. He sends in Skunk Tank first, which I'm going to set up the Cotton Guard, because I don't know what this thing wants to do to me. It is a poison type, so I can... He switches into Ariados, which is interesting, so I'm going to set up the Swords Dance. And he's going to... I know he's going to want to set up the Sticky Web. But I do have Hitmonchan as my spinner, which is the good part about this team. But he goes for the straightaway Mega Horn, so I'm just going to go for Acrobatics. And he switches out. I don't know what he's... I think he's trying to get Aftermath on me to maybe finish me off with a Sucker Punch. I don't know what else he was going for. That was really weird. He does not set up the Sticky Web, which is even more interesting. Oh, but this Ariados has Sucker Punch. He wants to try to get me in Sucker Punch range, because I know some Ariadoses do. But he sends in the Flygon. Now I'm gonna... This thing's most likely Choice Scarfed. I'm gonna still go... He's gonna go for the... Goes for the Stone Edge. Okay. So this thing's locked in the Stone Edge. So now... I know I can send in the Hitmonchan. I'm going to scare him out with the Ice Punch. I don't want to make any predictions just in case he thinks he can knock me out in one hit. I'm going to leave this as it is. But he switches out and does switch in the Ariados. So I do want to switch on this thing, switch in the Registeel, because I do not trust what this thing does. I don't want to reveal too much yet either that I have the Rapid Spin. So he does set up the Sticky Web. I'm gonna go for the Iron Head because this thing totally walls Ariados. There's nothing this thing can do. I'm gonna go for the clean Iron Head just to see what I can get. I'm gonna switch it out to Gallade. Now, while it walls the Ariados to many things, I'm gonna go. We're gonna make a judgment call here. And it does knock the Gallade out. We got a huge threat out of the way at the sacrifice. Well, it might have been a stupid play. I thought it was the best play just to get a big threat out of the way. Because I don't know what that Gallade really wanted to do. And he could have just knock-off spammed, and I'm not about that. So he sends in the X-Cloud. Which I'm just going to go straight for the Drain Punch because I am Assault Vested. So no matter what this thing wants to do to me, I'm going to dish out just as much damage back. Boom Burst, I do live. Now this thing, and it does fully take it out. See, that's the good thing. With Hitmonchan has a lot of natural special defense bulk. And that's why I invested the rest of it into defense and attack. So I can just slap the Assault Vest on and be able to still live special and physical hits while getting all my HP back from Drain Punch. That's the mindset of this set. So his really only option is to send in the Flygon, which I'm hoping he does do. He sends in the Emboar. This thing is my win condition, especially against that Flygon. So I'm going to switch in to... I want to switch into the Golurk. But there's really no safe switch-ins for this thing. So I'm going to... I don't really need Jellicent for this. But he switches down to Ariados. I switch into Golurk. I'm going to get the Earthquake off. Unless he wants to be cheeky and switch into Flygon right now. But he sets up the Toxic Spikes. What he doesn't know is Hitmonchan does have the Rapid Spin. But I don't think I'm going to need the Rapid Spin to take down the rest of his team. I'm going to go straight for the Dynamic Punch. It's going to do a lot of damage. This thing doesn't want to really do that much except for a U-turn. So I'm going to get off a nice no-guard Dynamic Punch on this thing. Does a lot of damage. And I'm going to just go for the Dynamic Punch again. He's confused. Does Flare Blitz me. So I'm gonna try to end this game. I'm gonna go for the Extra Sensory. This thing's Scarf. Gonna send the Jellicent. I don't want to send in my Hitmonchan like that. So I'm gonna go for the nice Scald. Neutral damage. Should take out the Flygon. Earthquakes me. Get the Scald off. I do not get the burn. So, I'm going to send in Hitmonchan. I'm going to go for the Mach Punch. And I'm hoping to Bleezes, and it does take it out. Now a Mach Punch should sweep the rest of his team. It does take out the Emboar, and that is a good game. That came really down to the wire. Now in this game, I knew Hitmonchan was my win condition, and it got the job done. Like it's supposed to. So, I think that's going to wrap up this session. It's a very experimental team. I'm going to try to work out some of the kinks. I think that one match, I needed the Hitmonchan, and I sacrificed it when he sent in that Drudigon. That was a very solid play on his part. So, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like down there. Drop a subscription if you want to see more of this content. And I'll see you guys later.